to the Polished Hustle. I miss y'all. Today, we're gonna talk about a sticky subject, honey. We're gonna talk about something that may hit a little close to home, but honey, no, I'm holding your hand and it's coming from a safe space. Okay, this is all a safe space, but some of us, okay, I say us because there are pockets and places where sometimes that's my truth too. Some of us electively struggle. Some of us electively struggle. And here's what I mean by that. Think about a time that you put yourself in a position and received all the consequences, probably some you didn't receive that you probably should have received, and you put yourself in that position. You ain't got nobody else to blame. It was you, right? We find actually that we do that a lot more times than not. And it's through our choices. It's through our choices. It's through the energy that we have. It's through the company you keep. It is so many different reasons why there is a struggle in front of us, but it may look like, oh man, was this, and that. No, you got something to do with that, baby. A lot more than you would probably like to. So with diving into that, let's talk about what that really looks like in terms of what the elective struggle is. So when you're talking about said struggle, it's important, I think, to be aware of, number one, the lack of accountability on a lot of things that we hold ourselves to is actually one of the biggest reasons why we end up in these mental, emotional, or physical traps. If you can't hold yourself accountable to your actions or be even transparent with yourself, then it's very hard for you to even see where a blind spot would be. Case in point. One of the things I had to learn for myself was being honest, like deeply honest with myself, because no matter what, this relationship that I have with honesty, if I have it with myself, consequently, it's not hard to give it to anybody else. Like, if you straight up with yourself, it's so easy to be straight up with other people, because at that point, the person that would hurt the most would be you. If you can tell yourself the truth, then telling somebody else the truth really isn't going to be that hard. Inside of that, and knowing that it requires that level of discipline, it's just that. It's a discipline. So that means that you have to consistently practice that. You have to be honest with yourself even when you don't want to. And that looks like, hey, I'm in this situation. This, and this happened, okay? My role in that was X, Y, and Z. And it's typically where you get to that point of being like, my role in that was X, Y, and Z, where people connect. It's easy to be like, well, she did this, he did that, I heard about this, I was running late, that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, let's talk about what you did inside of that actually had room to allow this to magnetize. And with that type of accountability, it's uncomfortable to a lot of people because that's never happened for them, or they've never been required to be in a space where you've been actively required to be accountable with yourself. So I mean, listen, some of y'all be posting stuff on social media and talking about things that y'all be going through, and I don't be saying nothing because I'm like, baby, the Hulk couldn't get that out of me. Why? Number one, ain't nobody business, but number two, baby, that blind spot is blind spotting, okay? Talking about all of these different variables outside of where you disconnected to keep yourself accountable and not even would have ended up in a situation like that 100% is an option. So one of the major reasons why we do get to this place of feeling like, hey, I don't understand why this happened to me, because you're not honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself also looks like the energy you keep. The energy you keep with those around you. If you are surrounded by people who constantly are yes men or basically feeding and giving life to your BS, it's going to be hard for you to see that too. Why? Because you have the co-signature of people with poor behavior that basically greenlight other bad behavior. So if you don't have someone in your circle that's able to be like, when you tell them about a situation and they like, girl, I can't believe such and such happened, or man, that's crazy, blah, blah, blah. If you got somebody that's just basically hitting you with that surface stuff instead of being like, so I absolutely hear you, and I'm sorry that situation happened to you. However, you do know that you X, Y, and Z. Without having those people in your orbit, it's so easy to go through and pacify the idea of thinking Yeah, no, I'm just struggling because, life is on me real hard. Okay. Some of us also struggle through routine. You've been doing something for so long and it's a part of your routine, you don't even see that's the reason why you're struggling. You do it out of comfort. You do it because it's like, hey, listen, this is what I've been doing. It's been working for me, but it's not working for you, friend, because it's hurting you. And you become so conditioned to the hurt that at this point, it's easier for you to co sign the hurt than for you to actually change the habit. So, changing habits still comes down to accountability and responsibility to yourself. And again, those are disciplines. Without that discipline, it's not going to matter. Discipline requires time, it requires consistency, and it requires effort. If you are immune or allergic to any of those things, you gonna struggle in different places, whether it's personally, professionally, mentally, emotionally, physically. You're gonna struggle in some form of capacity because you lack the nutrition to be able to consistently condition yourself to change something that you already see is an issue. So some of us have taught that we have to bleed to be brilliant, meaning you have to go through certain struggles in order to see success on the other side of it. And while I do subscribe to the reality that there will be things that you have to experiences and challenges that you have to grow through, I am not a proponent of electively placing yourself in a situation that you don't have to be in. I'm not a delegate of saying you have to be baptized by fire to have certain successes. That type of mentality has come through the person or the lens of someone who has constantly endured a level of struggling and feels like in order for you to achieve some form of success, you too have to be baptized in that. But that's not the reality. And so, with knowing that there are so many different considerations to how a struggle is perceived, that too has to even be on the forefront of what it is. If it's not a struggle that you identify, then again, for you, it's just like this is day to day life. But if it's a situation that you find you're constantly revisiting with no solution, that's a struggle. If you continue to approach this same problem, you continue to experience this same issue, and you haven't found some form of solution, that is a struggle. Now, the struggle then becomes identifying, is this something that I am propelling, or is this something that a situation that I'm in is propelling? Those are going to require two different channels of solutions. Consequently, you have to be able to, again, sit down and shift through what it is. And that still is going to require those two key ingredients that I told you about earlier. You're not going to be able to get around it, even if you identify that it's not the struggle that you're electively in. It's still going to require you to walk through the scope of, is there anything that I have done or continuing to do that is moving this in the direction that, again, is basically the environment that I'm in. So I said that to say that this exercise takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes a lot of even understanding who's in your orbit to help you through that. I don't necessarily think it's an independent experience. Some of the best recognitions that I've had in forms of accountability has come through the lens of me talking to, my girls, which, we tell each other all the time, we're your accountability partner. Like, hey, we will live in delusion as long as we want to live in delusion. Like, the group chat is lit. Like, we stay in delusion for as long as we want to. But then after we kiki and kaka, we like, okay, cool. So what's next steps? Like, how is this gonna change? Because this can't continue to go on this way. So that's the beauty of having those people in your square that are gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, let's change up a little bit. I would also contribute that with the struggle, it's absolutely okay to have emotions inside of it. Like, for you to feel like, I don't know if I'm stronger than this struggle. I assure you that you're stronger than the struggle if you can identify it. My grandmama used to tell me that if you can see an issue, then you can see a solution. And I 100% subscribe to that. If you can see that you have a problem, that is something that you're continuing to do, you can also sit down and take the time to identify how to address said issue. So knowing that you have the problem isn't the problem. That never was the problem. We all gonna have problems. That's life. There's nobody's immune to in the trials and tribulations of life, right? What is the problem is how long you continue to sit in said issue and then try to blame it and put it on other people or other experiences because you weren't strong enough to basically say, I have an issue and I'm the reason for it. So, again, the elective struggle is real, and you absolutely have an aperture on deciding, do I want to amplify it and turn it up, or do I want to basically, change it? But I will tell you this. I remember hearing an analogy one time that was basically talking about the expense of like opening a wound, right? And so let's say you get hurt and you put a bandage on it, and then you keep checking on it and you put it down, you check on it, and you every time you open it up, you're opening it and exposing that wound to new bacteria. You're experiencing it to new experiences to where the wound could get worse. Instead of putting the bandage on and letting it heal and move through that. The association to that would be, if you address the wound, it's okay that you have the wound. Put your bandage on, take the time to start healing it and addressing it, and don't keep coming back to the same issue thinking that it's going to be different if you go back and do what you've done. That's insanity. Insanity is doing something repetitively and expecting a different result. So, I say that because, again, trust me, I've been in the boat of elective struggle, and sometimes I have to catch myself now when I'm like, did something happen? Okay, that was my fault. I gotta back up a little. So, I said all of that to also offer you guys a challenge. The next time that you're in a situation where you find it to be uncomfortable or not necessarily the space that you want to be, take a step back and look to see just how much of this that you're actually contributing to that's allowing this to grow and become so uncomfortable that it's now on your radar. So with that being said, y'all, I will see you on the next episode of The Polished Hustle. Y'all take